Poison ivy. Laughter is poison to fear. Love is madness, and lust is poison. What's your poison? Hello to all, and welcome to the Ear-Wicker podcast. Follow along with our host, Vince Corkery, as he discusses a broad range of musical topics, with interviews of top players, club owners, producers, and engineers that make it all happen. Your virtual backstage pass. Remember to like and subscribe to this podcast, and of course, it's free.
Welcome to Ear-Wicker. Today we have Hudson Harkins, drummer, writer, songwriter, extraordinaire singer from the band Hudson and the Hoodoo Cats, who've been playing in St. Louis area for 30...
I think the first year was 90 or 91.
90, 91.
But we moved here in 95 from Austin.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're from Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And maybe a fair amount of people know that, but do they really know what happened in Austin? What attracted you to the drum? How young were you?
Well, I started playing drums when I was really young, like a child. And my dad died when I was 11. But before he died, him and I were real close, and he would take me with him everywhere. I mean, when I was even an infant, he would take me. And I got to hear a lot of live music. I had a really charmed childhood, and then it just ended, And I was actually playing my drums when my dad had a massive aneurysm.
Wow, okay.
And so it wasn't long after that I guess it was in like seventh grade, I guess, when had an old football coach called me in his office and said, young man, I heard you joined the band. And I was like, yes, sir, I sure did. And he said, well, looks like you have some decisions to make. And I'm like, well, okay, what's that? And he goes, well, you need to decide if you're going to be a little pussy and play in the band, or if you're going to be a man and play football. And I said, wow. I was like, I guess I'm supposed to be a man. Seventh grade.
Seventh?
Yeah, when you start playing football in Texas,
Yeah.
And I was like,
wow.
so there it went, And,
Yeah.
and I didn't get back to it until I went to college on a football scholarship, and small college in Oklahoma. Well, first I went to Blinn Junior College in Brenham, Texas, and then a small college in Oklahoma.
What Texas? What is Brim? What is that?
In Brenham, where they make Bluebell ice cream. Blinn Junior College. Yeah.
Okay.
and then I played at Cameron University, and boy, that's a whole story in itself. Playing there, it was an incredible.
So were you playing drums at this time too?
Not at all, really. So then when I got out of college, I started playing some again, and really didn't start playing out until I was probably 30, or almost 30, like 28, 29, before I really started. I went a long time without. Well, I mean, I probably had a set of drums at home, maybe, not much.
Yeah, so you were in college in your 20s, I guess, early 20s?
No, it was after I got out. And after I got out of college, I moved back home to Austin, bought a little house over in East Austin. $13,000. It's worth over $1 million now. That's Austin.
Oops.
Yeah. I think that's where I really started.
Oh, okay.
Had a drum set up and got hooked up with some guys. And one guy I had a long time ago, during that time, we would sing a lot together. His name was Georgie Starr. We were Georgie Starr and Michael Harkins.
Oh.
And our slogan was, we played the best of the good stuff. It was terrible. He was actually pretty good. And
so who's Michael Harkins?
Yeah, who is that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Michael Hudson Harkins.
Okay.
I was, and that was during. It wasn't long after that when I changed. I said, I'm sick of being Michael. There's so many Michaels in this world.
Yeah.
And I got this cool, middle name.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I was named after my two grandfathers, and they just put them in the wrong order.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
So I just switched it around.
Well, it's in the right order now.
Not really, because no one knew my name was Michael until, because for 30 years I've been Hudson, but then Social Security came around.
Oh, well.
And you got to be what your birth certificate says. So now when I go to the doctor, they're like, Michael? And I'm like, I guess that's me. It took me so long to get people. My mom was so sweet. My middle name became Amin because she would try, but she would say, Michael, Hudson. And so I said, my middle name's Amin.
Well, that's sweet. That's a sweet.
Yeah. She tried at least. Some people didn't even try. Yeah. I'm not going to call you that. I don't know. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. So
That's it. That's Michael Hudson Harkins.
yeah. Now I've heard that you had a lawn service sometime in your life too. Now is
did.
that in the 20s when you're in 20s or?
That was after I moved back home to Austin.
Okay.
And I had a lawn service called Love Your Lawn. And actually during college I had worked at a boys' home out in Liberty Hill, Texas. I worked at a boys' home, Marydale Achievement Center. And we had a lot of kids and a lot of staff. And I actually was very young at the time. I was probably 19 when I started. And we had kids there that were 17, so it was kind of weird. I had a big beard and they didn't know how old I was. But I didn't work there. I mean, I worked there summers and even at Christmas time and Easter. Anytime I was home from college, I just went out there and went to work. And then later on, I quit doing that and I worked at in East Austin and had a lawn service, and it was called Love Your Lawn.
Well, I bring that up because I know you at least have one song you've written about.
That's all I got out of that was that one damn song.
Which is a good song.
I don't want to mow the yard
People
no more.
Yes. Yeah. That gets requested.
And I don't want, I didn't. I remember sitting down on the curb and just crying and going, dude, you're better than this. Just stop it. You know. But if I would have stayed with it, and because that was right around the time when commercial lawn mowing became landscape maintenance. You know, it was a different,
got
you know,
technical.
Yeah, it was like, you know, and you had contracts and started charging money. And if I would have stuck with it and learned a little Spanish, I would have had to learn a little Spanish, you know. But I could have made a lot of money, but I got the band bug. Yeah. And so then a friend of mine started another much smaller boys' home. I think he only had like 15 kids or something, maybe not even that many. I went to work with him and started the band. That was in 1989. And so, the first year I went to my accountant, had a friend accountant because I hadn't filed in a few years. And I was like, I'm going to turn myself in. And he goes, no, you're not. So he goes, let's see what happens. So the first year he goes, well, you did really good. You pretty much lost the exact amount of money playing in the band with your band as you made at the boys' home. So you came out to like zero. I was like, okay. So that's how Hoodoo Cat started.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, Hoodoo Cat started with Scott Reiner and I.
What did he play?
Guitar player. And he's got a great band called the Moaning Black Snakes that play in Las Vegas. And he's real popular there amongst the locals. He's a really good guy, and him and I started the Hoodoo Cats. And actually, he came up with the name. We wanted to be some kind of cats, and he said, "What about hoodoo?"
This is rockabilly music, right?
No, it was straight up rock and blues. Yeah, it didn't turn to rockabilly until really. So when I went out with my dad a lot when I was young, that was all country. That was all classic country. You know, I saw George Jones. I remember when I was 6 years old. I saw Ray Price many times. I saw, I don't even know who I saw. Yeah. I would love to find a roster. The club was called the Skyline Club, and it would be so famous now if it was still alive. The owner, Warren Stark, had a stroke and he died in the 80s. Famous country club dance place in Austin is the Broken Spoke. Well, the Broken Spoke didn't even open until I think 63, something like that. The Skyline opened in the 40s. Elvis played the Skyline. Hank Williams played his last gig at the Skyline. I saw a lot of cool people. Johnny Horton played his last gig, which is
North to Alaska, Johnny Horton.
Yeah, which is an interesting story in itself because they both had the same wife and they both kissed her goodbye in the same spot. And that was the last she saw each one of them.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now I think Hank Williams died a couple of weeks later, but he didn't play another gig. And I think Johnny Horton died from a car wreck.
Right. Yeah.
But they had the same wife, and they both kissed her goodbye at the same spot backstage. Back in the area. Whoa. At the Skyline. So that was my playground when I was a kid. I ran all over that place. My dad, one of my jobs was turn the lights on late at night. You have to go around and pull a string, and all the drunk guys would get all pissed off if it was a waitress or something like that. But a little kid, they couldn't yell at me. And I sang for the first time there too. I went up and asked the band for a song. I think I had told you when it's Twilight on the Trail.
Oh,
that was the first song I ever sang in front of people.
Wow.
And it was a full house, I think. And I went up and requested it, and they went, "Well, little Michael, why don't you get up here and sing it?" And I did, and that's the first time I ever sang in front of people.
Wow. Do you think that was your aha moment for?
Yeah, no, it was real special. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I also remember, I don't know how, I was 6, I think. And I don't remember how I came about this, but I do remember giving the steel guitar player a solo. I was like, take it. Take it.
Wow.
And I remember running, getting off stage and running to the back, and my dad jumping up in his arms, and he was crying. So it was pretty damn cool. It was a great memory. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Well, you never forgot
One of
it
my
for
first,
sure.
yeah, right, of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so so then after I quit being a pussy, playing football, quit being a man, and became a pussy again. So I saw that coach a few years ago. He said, "Who would have ever thought Mike Harkins would end up being a musician and a liberal?" Oh. I said, "Yeah, crazy thinking, huh?" From Texas. And I told him what he said, and he goes, about being a pussy or being a man. He goes, that does sound like something I would say.
Oh. At least he admitted it.
Yeah.
So how did you get up to St. Louis? After
So
working on your lawn service and in the kids' home.
Austin's always been a great place to be from, and there was so much competition there. There were so many players. We just needed to play a lot. But originally, Scott knew some people, but then another guy came into the band, James Hinkle, and he had played with Marcia Ball in the past, so he had a lot of connections. So he kind of got us into some places in Dallas and Fort Worth, and then he was really more responsible for our first gig in St. Louis. And we came through St. Louis, which was the first gig we ever played in St. Louis was at 1860s, and Joni Spurgeon of Joni's Pizza, she was manager.
This is in Soulard, right?
In Soulard, yeah.
Okay.
She was a manager, and I don't know how, maybe on KDHX or something, they kind of made a big deal because we were a band from Texas. We're from
the KDHX radio. You're talking
yeah,
about. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, but it kind of became a word deal. The band from Texas was coming,
and so it created some hype.
Yeah, and Tommy Bankhead and Billy Gales were both there, and they both sat in with us. And,
wow!
And we just had the greatest time.
Yeah.
I guess it was Mark Parrish who is gone now, and a bass player, Mike Roberts, who still plays a lot in Texas. That was the original touring group because Scott Reiner, I think, had already moved back to Vegas. That's where he was from, and so he moved back. So he was really him and I started the band, but he was really only in it maybe a year. So yeah. So then we went back home and came back. And then came back, and then came back. And
you were getting a bunch of gigs here.
We were getting a bunch of gigs here. And at that time, there was really only one place for roots touring, lower-level touring bands to play, and that was at Off-Broadway,
right,
Camaradas,
Yeah.
And so I'd tell people in Austin how cool St. Louis was, and they were like, well, yeah, but there's only one place to play. Okay, but, it was different than Austin because you had to move the tables and chairs yourself and set your PA up and play, Austin's more everywhere has a set stage and the sound man and the whole deal. But and then Hinkle left the band, and so it was just the trio, just really doing a lot of road work.
So this is guitar, bass,
and drums. Trio. And so we went Wisconsin and Minnesota a lot. We went to Kansas City. We played Minneapolis a lot. Played St. Louis a lot.
And this is early 90s, or
early 90s. Sure was. Yeah.
Okay.
And then then we got hooked up with an agent out of Minneapolis, Steve York, who hooked us up with a guy named Charlie Campbell, who is a dear friend of mine now, and he was living in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. That's how the Virgin Islands.
I was going to ask you
how
you were getting there. So.
Right. And so that was really fun, and that we ended up. I really don't know how many tours I made over the Virgin Islands.
Well, we should preface that because that's a really big part of Hoodoo Cats, traveling to the Virgin Islands. For how many years did you do that?
Well, if I go one more year, and these aren't consecutive years, but if I go one more year, it'll be 30. The old tour that we did, we always strived for 21 gigs in 21 days on 5 different islands. And that's a kind of a young man's game, because it ended up being a really incredible.
And sometimes you went twice.
Many years we went twice. So that's why I say I'm not sure. I know we went, if I play one more time, it'll mean that I at least went once for 30 years, not consecutively.
Yeah. I was fortunate to go with you back in 2013, maybe.
Is that when it went?
I think so, or 12. You were greased up. I mean, you knew exactly what you had to do. You know how to get there on an airplane, all the tickets. You took care of everything, man. It was really, that was a pretty sweet deal.
No, we would always go, we were the first band to go for the season always. So we always went in. The season kind of goes from November, from really like Thanksgiving to Easter. Because that's when.
And make sure you explain where all the islands.
Okay,
where
the
you
island,
went.
the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands. So we'd play St. Croix,
Okay.
and then we'd go to St. Thomas, and then St. John, and Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. Some in Jost Van Dyke, at Foxy. That whole area, Water Island.
Yeah, beautiful down there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And that ended. Well, the double hurricane Maria was.
Yeah,
devastating.
And what year was that?
Let me see. That was
2018, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it might have been. And then,
well, what are the logistics? I mean, you say, okay, we're going to go down and play, but you have to bring instruments and PAs.
Back in the old days, we had to take everything. We had to take. I even took bass drum with a snare drum inside. But we take mics and stuff. Usually, Charlie would have a PA. It would be a shitty PA. And then there were clubs that had PAs and drums too, but not very many.
Yeah.
Now later on, as it went on, more and more people got gear. But back in the old days, I remember we'd have to flush the rats out of the speakers because they hadn't been used for all summer.
Wow.
And
Wow.
there's some fun moments. And I'm sorry, I left out completely about John Logan.
Oh, right, yeah. What I was going to say, I was going to ask you, who went down there for...
I need to back up because there was a time after we had toured for about 4 years, the band was about 4 years old, and the guys, whatever reason, we decided they were going to leave, and so I was looking for a guitar player. We're playing Green Hall on a Saturday night.
And that's in...
Green Hall is the oldest dance hall in Texas.
Okay.
It's a really special place. I played Green Hall for like 4 years. Tracy Ferguson, the books, it offered me a night on the big stage, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I didn't have a band, because everyone quit me. The truth is, I gave them an offer I knew they would refuse.
Oh, okay.
And they did. So John Logan was a great guitar player, but you didn't know it because he had a band, his own band that was he was a DJ, a very well-known DJ in Austin. John was, and he had like a DJ's band where he just had a lot of people on stage, and it was kind of a mess, I told John, I said, look, Mike Roberts agreed to stay with the band until I found a bass player, and I said, I need a guitar player really bad for like Saturday night, He said, okay, I'll do it. And I was apprehensive but his band was more like he just gave everything away. He stood in the back and he played, and he was incredible. And at the end of the night, I said, because it was a trio, and I said, I didn't know you could play like that. And he said, I didn't either. He said, no one's ever put me in this situation before. Wow. So, you want to get in the truck? He's like, yeah, I do. So wow. Logan got in the truck, and him and I and a lot of bass players did a lot of driving, a lot of driving. We ended up playing together, I think it was 22 years.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure, something like that.
Yeah. And you had an upright player with you.
Yeah, Mike. Oh, well, the first one was, let me see, the first upright I think was Jason Van Diemen, and then Mike Graham played.
And he recorded a lot with you, too.
He recorded a lot with me. Mike Graham played with me for 11 years.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I think at one time we went through, I don't know, I remember Paul Cuba from the Venice Cafe used to say, if something wasn't going to last very long, you go, well, that lasts about as long as a bass player in the Hoodoo Cats. Because there was a lot of bass players that went through.
Yeah, okay.
That was before you.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of fun road work. Had a really good time.
What was that first record you recorded?
Started recording with Doug Rayburn at his studio
here in St. Louis.
But also at Bill in Austin as well.
Oh.
So we were carrying tapes back and forth.
Okay,
And that's why I was able to get so many guest artists on it. Guest artists from Austin and St. Louis on it.
Right.
So many guests.
You should name those guests.
Some of them, like W.C. Clark
from Texas.
He's W.C. just passed. He is a Texas Hall of Fame musician.
Okay.
Jesse Taylor played on. He's a Texas Hall of Fame musician. And then here I had everybody from Art Dwyer, Brian Casserly, and Bennett Schaefer, and I'm because there's like 20 guest artists on the album. Some really significant. Rich McDonough. And Johnny Johnson, the great Johnny Johnson, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Tom Maloney played on it. Matt was later.
Oh, okay.
Matt was later. That was after I became a 4-piece, and we started doing casino work and that kind of stuff. That's when Matt Murdock. Yeah.
Matt good Murdock. Guy too.
Oh, he's a great guy. Great.
And
great
is that record still available, or can they?
Actually, the original album it really kind of was a mess. The artists were really great and all. I sang horribly. I hated how I sang the songs. So after that was done, over the last few years, I went back and fixed everything.
Oh.
And so what you hear on, like the album that's on the first 20 years or something that's online and all that, Hudson the Hoodoo Cat, it's resung and remixed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's all the same artist, same performance, same.
So is that available? I mean,
well, it's online.
On your website? Do you have a website?
Right now, my website is down.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to come back up now.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Regional Arts Commission and
that's a good
some help.
segue into that.
And some help with them. St. Louis is a wonderful place to be an artist. You know, it really is. There's so much support.
You should
here.
explain that a little bit.
I'm a fifth generation Texan. You know, a fifth generation Austin area guy, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing moving to St. Louis, Missouri? You know, why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
And I was like going, because it's so cool, you know. And people wouldn't believe it until they come here. You know, St. Louis doesn't look so good if you just Google it. You know, it's like it's not. You know, it's like
you can't experience it that way.
No, right. And when you realize what a treasure it is, I mean, there's so much. And at the time I moved here too, there were like I was saying, Tommy Bankhead, Oliver Saint, all those guys were alive and playing. And you'd go out and go, oh, well, that's how you do it. You know, it's So there was so much, and soul music too. You know, a lot of soul music, which I really love. And I've talked to you about this before. Yeah. Playing blues and soul music correctly, very difficult.
It's discipline.
It's not an easy thing, and especially for a guy that was raised in a honky tonk. You know. Yeah. And so it's like, it was a great influence. And after that, I guess is when I'm not sure when I actually got into the whole. It was in the 90s. Got into the swing thing when the swing thing happened.
Oh, yeah.
And the rockabilly, and that really I connected there because that put together, you know, the country roots that I had with and that's when I said I got to have an upright bass.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And I don't think Mike even really knew how to slap. You know,
Mike Graham.
Mike Graham, and he got that down.
Oh yeah,
good.
No, he's a great player.
And now he's still kicking it with that. You know,
that's good. Yeah.
And that was probably the highest time of the Hoodoo Cats. You know, that period. You know, because we had.
Well, you were working a lot too.
We were working a lot, and we're working good work too. We played at Ameristar Casinos, hired us a bunch, and the one in Kansas City. I was playing the Casa Loma Ballroom a lot. I was playing the Ritz Carlton a lot. Big dancers come out to the Ritz, and so it was like, wow, you know, we really don't have to travel anymore. Corporate gigs, a lot of private parties, you know, and so that's when the traveling.
You weren't in the bars.
Not in the not a lot. I still was some, but but then that's kind of like, I guess as you get older and get tired, it gets harder and harder playing, you know, and
midnight seems awful late these days.
It doesn't it though? And especially 2 in the morning, or 3 in the morning, you know,
Yeah. Well, when do you think you will have your website? Oh, you were talking about the regional arts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because this might tie into that. Yeah.
The Regional Arts Commission, a real supportive. I'm sure there's other things like that, but I really only had experience with it in St. Louis. I'll tell you one thing that was huge for me. That Regional Arts Commission sent out notices about Obamacare when it first came out. Because when I got married in '93, I said, okay, I got to have health insurance for my wife and I. I have to, you know, and I did all the way through. Well, all of a sudden, health insurance was more expensive than rent. It was more expensive, and it was about to go out of sight. You know, I think it was going to be like $1,200 a month. And then they had a seminar. Regional Arts Commission had a seminar that was connected with lawyers and accountants for the arts here in St. Louis. And my wife and I went down to it. We figured out that we could get good quality health insurance for about $230 a month compared to $1,200, you know. Wow, that was giant. That was huge for me, you know.
Sure,
Matter of fact, I even did a thing on the news because I was like, hey, musicians, I know how much money you make.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
You know, it's like, you can have insurance, you know, because a lot of them didn't. There's no reason for them not to now, especially if you're young. If you're younger,
that's good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because man, you can get. I always call it Obama. It's called the American Health Care Act.
Oh,
you can get good insurance, man. For if you're young, you can get $100 a month. You know, there's no reason.
And you don't have to be a musician to.
No, absolutely, of course not. Yeah, of course not. No.
You just know a lot of musicians.
Yeah, I just know a lot of musicians. Go, I can't get insurance. I'm a musician. You go, you can.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good.
Yeah. So that's something that was a huge help.
From the Regional Arts Commission.
Right. Well, just so much information goes through them. So much. And if you get involved with them and get on their newsletters and stuff like that, because they give out grants all the time for different kinds of artists, different kinds of musicians, artists.
You acquired one recently.
I acquired one recently, and it wasn't really, it was a national program that went to, it wasn't just for St. Louis, but it was for artists who, the bottom dropped out, during COVID. There was nowhere to play, and there was nowhere to do anything. You couldn't do anything. That's when I started playing on the front porch. We started having porch concerts, right?
Which were a lot of fun.
Yeah, yes, they were. And they still are.
Yeah, right.
We're still doing it every once in a while.
Yeah.
In my football days, I just lost. Here it goes. Don't look at anything shiny.
Well, you were getting a grant from regional.
Yeah. So basically what this was is there was a core area within the city. If you're an artist and you applied for it, you got it. But I was 2 blocks out of it. So I had to give them my taxes for 2019 and for 2020. They pretty much made up the difference, if not more, Wow. So when the bottom dropped out, it was a tough time, and it was hard to recover from that. And so this is going to really help me right here. And so these are some of the things that I'm going to be doing with the grant is getting my website back going again.
Okay. Are you going to keep the same name, you think?
I think what I'm going to do is website might be Hudson Harkins, and then when I get to it, I can break it up into Hudson the Hoodoo Cats. I have a little bit of acting that I've done, some commercials and stuff,
Oh, that's good.
And I have some stuff on that. Matter of fact, I was just in one that's for Parker's Table. It's got Bill Chrisman in it. And
Bill from
Jonathan,
Joe's Cafe.
From Joe's Cafe,
which is a great place.
Really great. Bill's an amazing artist, and Jonathan Parker, who owns Parker's Table, and then also a really great entertainer in Santa Fe named Joe West.
Yes.
Yeah, he's really cool. And so.
Yeah, we should keep an eye out for that film, right?
Well, it's actually it's a commercial, but it's done in the style of a short, a short movie. Yeah, but it was played before every audience at the St. Louis International Film Festival, which was really cool.
Oh, great.
But now I think it's going to be shown before every show at the Chase Park Plaza.
Oh.
That's kind of what is. That's good. So that's a fun thing. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a real fun. It's not your classic commercial. It's a
right.
Yeah.
It's I did see that trailer, and it has a very Outer Limits vibe.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Because Bill's into UFOs and stuff. Bill Christmas. Yeah. Bill was famous for many years for making those old 50s looking robots.
Oh, yeah.
One day he said, "The hell with robots. I'm into aliens now." I'm like, all right, let's do that.
Yeah.
That was a real fun trip. We went to Santa Fe.
Well, that looks like a really cool project. I hope it gets completed.
Yeah, it's going to be more about like a documentary about Bill.
Okay.
And stuff like
well,
that.
that's good. Which needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Really, especially in St. Louis.
Right. There's a filmmaker named John Olivia that lives in Memphis that's doing a lot of this. He did all the film work on the trip, editing and all that.
Oh, wow.
So he's Olivio, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So people could look him up too, I guess. And, hopefully you'll have your website.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a website up, but right now you could go to Hudson the Hoodoo Cats on Facebook.
Oh,
I'm gonna get all that going good. My name's Hudson Harkins. You can friend me on Facebook.
Right, there you go.
Until I get the website back up and all that.
Cool.
I had kind of like shut the band down at one time. Said that I was kind of retiring, and boy, that's the thing. If you tell people to leave you alone, they'll do it. I saw an interview with Merle Haggard, and they go, "Why do you keep touring?" And because he was old, and he goes, he said, "If you tell people to leave you alone, they'll leave you alone." He said, I keep touring because I'm lonely. He goes, I want to keep, I want to keep out there.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's really something.
Yeah.
So Sharon Tucci with Talent Plus, she talked me into taking the name back,
because
she said you got a 30-year brand, just throwing it away,
Wow,
so I took the name Hudson and the Hoodoo Cats back,
Okay, good,
and
well, I think a lot of people are familiar with that.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that I would have enough name recognition, and I go, oh, you're in a band, yeah. What's the name? Well, I'm Hudson. Oh yeah, I never heard you go. Okay, Hudson the Hoodoo Cat. Oh yeah, okay, all right.
I mean, that's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. It is.
It's a good.
So I said, okay, you're right.
So, are there any future recordings coming
Absolutely.
out of this commission from the St. Louis Arts, I guess?
Well, yeah. That's one of the things. The thing about the grant is it's to be used for artistic endeavors, and that can also be like fixing the van because it needs, you know,
Right.
things that
it gets you to gigs.
that
so.
go with the business. Yeah.
Okay.
So the biggest thing I want to do is the website, you know, some education, get a new computer, get some gear if I need it,
And
things
you
like
throw
that.
any parties?
and
Are you
make
throwing
new,
any parties? in
Maybe so. I don't know. I got to call them. There's a bunch of rules. I don't want to
Yeah,
break
right.
them, so I
I-
need to call them and see what all I can do. But definitely
Yeah.
to make a new CD, as you know.
Yeah. You
Yeah, I
doing
got-
some writing
I
and
think I think I got a good 10-song CD right
wow.
now. I
Whoa.
think it's
all
with,
original.
all originals, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And my new country song, I Got Over Her When She Got Under Him.
It's a future classic. It really is.
And
Well, you know, I think people need to hear your original stuff because it's different.
Cool.
Especially when a musician plays and you're like, you know, they're scratching their head a little bit.
because it
but-
was written by a drummer.
Well, well, maybe
what the
that's
hell?
part of that's true. Sure.
I
but-
remember John Logan, when I said we went through so many bass players, they were going, this doesn't make any sense. And Logan goes, just play it. He's not going to change it. Just
Yeah,
do
right.
it. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
He knew.
But I
Yeah, but it's unique though. That's
Right.
the beauty of it. That
Oh,
it's
cool.
really
Well, thanks.
you hear it, you know who it is, and
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to do.
Right. Oh, cool.
You know,
Thanks.
so-
I
yeah,
appreciate
no,
that.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed playing with you for over the years.
Well,
I mean, you know,
it's
it's like
likewise. Yeah,
we've all
I like
liked it.
locking in. You know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think
So-
young folks. I'm not picking on them, but if they just know what the lock-in, the feel of that
Right.
is,
Exactly.
you forget about everything and you're having a good time.
That's right. That's
All your
right.
troubles are gone.
That's
You
true.
know,
It
because
is.
you are locking in and you're grooving. And
It's true.
It's a really beautiful
It's a
thing.
form of meditation. It sure
Yeah, it
is.
is,
You know,
yeah,
when
yeah.
everything's clicking.
Yeah, and when you
Whenever-
get a good drum feel and beat, it really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
thanks. I appreciate it.
no, sure.
I've struggled with drums. You know, I mean, the truth is, the only reason I have a drummer is I'm too cheap to hire one. You know, but no, that's the only reason I'm a drummer. but
Well, there's a chance for us all.
that's right. Yeah, I've started to have more fun. Yeah, I've had one of those stints of working at a boys' home. I hurt my wrist really bad, and I had so I've been playing one-armed drums for years. You know,
Yeah.
nobody really knows except for drummers look at me and go, "What the hell are you doing?" Had a surgery a year ago that doesn't fix anything, but it's called a denervation.
What's it called? Say-
I think it's called a denervation.
okay.
I think it's denervation, but it seems like the doctors always say DINERVATION, I think. And it's they destroy the nerve that sends the message to your brain that you're in pain. So it doesn't fix anything, but it kind of does.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't have the
and
pain
it had gotten so
anymore,
bad that I couldn't even lay down. You know, when you lay down with I had 4 surgeries in one: carpal tunnel, and this is called cubital tunnel in your elbow, and then two of these scars are from the denervation, and I can keep going now. You know, so,
good.
So
Well,
it's like,
that's
yeah.
really, that's great. Actually.
yeah, it is great. It is great. So it's called a scaphoid lunate tear. The only way to fix it is a 4-point fusion, you know, and which makes your wrist a baseball bat. And I've said no many times. In this last surgeon I had was like, let's try this. I was like, okay, yeah,
All right.
let's do that. Yeah.
Well, you sound like a doctor.
Well, no. But I'm happy to, you know.
Yeah,
I'm happy to have some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we anticipating your future recordings. here.
Yes, this winter will be recorded. I'm looking for a spring release.
Oh, good.
No,
Okay.
I'm not sure where or all
Right.
that still. You know,
Well,
but I'm
you-
sure something will be
well,
at Joe's Cafe. That's
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Bill. I've been playing for Bill. I don't know how long now. A really long time. Way before it was like it is now. Back when the stage was at the end and there'd be 400 kids there. You know.
yeah, that was wild. Those wild times.
Those were fun times. Yeah, right. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of giving me a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
boost right now.
Yeah, man.
be
No,
able to
that's
do that.
That's fantastic.
Right. And we got a lot of songs that you and I and John Ferber have
Right,
been
oh,
working
John,
on
yeah,
together,
yeah.
and I think it's going to be fun. But
Yeah,
record
no,
some
I
of
do
it.
too. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some. You know, we've worked on a few of the numbers I remember, and just
yeah.
rehearsing, and it was fun. you
No,
know.
yeah,
So-
absolutely.
so
No,
no.
the hardest things first is the one I'm working on now.
right.
Do the hardest things first,
Yeah,
and then we got,
Yeah.
baby, would you call my phone?
yeah,
I lost the damn thing
again.
again.
That's right. Yeah,
And then,
and
then
this will probably. I mean, when it's getting near completion, you could probably put some of this out on Facebook
Sure.
or your website possibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there will be information out there for folks to
Right. Maybe we'll
hear
make
and see.
maybe we'll make a video or something.
Ooh, oh, see, look at
something.
that.
I
Always
don't know.
thinking, aren't you?
I never no. no, not always thinking. Wish. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe do something like that. So.
All right. Well, I think
See,
we've
we got
covered a
another-
lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
But there's a thing I'm going to ask you because I'm asking everybody. This
Okay.
Is, if you could go back in time,
Mm-hmm.
would you follow the same musical path?
The same musical path. I would say yes, because it was so different coming to St. Louis. That was a lot more racially diverse, musically diverse. Or like when I first came here, like you were playing with the Orbits and all.
Yeah.
It was kind of like there wasn't much country music going on. That's where I came from. You know, it was country music, roots, blues, roots, and coming here and getting such a blast of soul. You know, and I really think that the two different things put together have really influenced me so much more than than if I would have stayed in Austin or if I would have just been from here.
Excellent point,
yeah, musically, I think I would have done the same thing. Now, if I would have had my choice, I would have bought houses in Austin when they were $20,000, and now they're over $1 million. But
If we all,
yeah. So you say musically, I go, okay.
It's
I got it.
if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
the
that's
old-
right.
the
You
old
never really
saying.
know. Yeah.
Well, hey man, I really appreciate you coming over and taking out
Yeah,
that
man.
valuable time you have, man. 'Cause I
Yeah.
know you're a busy man. I know
I
that.
don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate it. I appreciate
no,
you
I do.
involving me in on it.
And I
Really.
think a lot of folks around here want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
So-
and you have such a such a large group of musicians you play with over the years. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
to
I'm
hear
hoping.
what
and I'm hoping I can
people say. You
get
know.
everybody I know and then some. But we should get the word out for
Right.
people, see what these
Exactly,
musicians are
because
doing.
you're a hometown guy that's been here. You know, knows the history, knows people so much, and
well, thank you, man.
and it's a cool thing you're doing,
Yeah,
man.
all
In your
right.
early retirement.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Well, thank you again.
All right. Thanks, brother.
All right,
man.
folks. Hudson Harkins, Hoodoo, and Hudson and the Hoodoo Cats was here on Ear-Wicker, and look for his episode coming up on Ear-Wicker website. We will promote this when we're ready to get it out there. So
Cool, man.
all right.
All right.
Thanks again, bro.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
All right, man.
Remember to like and subscribe to this podcast. And of course, it's free.